すみません、真ん中もいいですか。はい、ありがとうございます。
これで終わります。
最後の横で、はい、ありがとうございます。こちら、最後にすみません。はい、どうも。こっちにしてください。はい、すみません。
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Foreign Correspondence Club of Japan. My name is Dennis Normile. I'm a former president, and I'll be the moderator this afternoon. I think everybody has heard what has happened, what happened last Wednesday, and what has happened subsequently. Don't need to go over it. Here to tell us, from her point of view, what happened and what needs to be done. Is the person at the center of this controversy. She has just completed her first year as an assemblywoman, and one thing which has not been widely noted, last Wednesday she was making her first speech to the entire assembly during what's called the interpellation period, and so it was really a baptism of fire, as we say. And to tell us more about it is Ayaka Shiomura.
皆様ようこそお越しいただきました。私はノーマリューと申します。前元会長を務めておりますものでございます。今日は司会を務めさせていただきます。皆さん今日なぜ集まっているかっていうのはよくご存知だと思います。先週の水曜日、何が起こったのか、そしてその後、いろんな展開があったわけでございます。この非常に大きく注目されているニュースでございますが、その中心にいらっしゃる方が今日、ご自分のお言葉でこの経緯についてご説明していただきます。で多くの方々はご存じないかもしれませんが、ちょうど、昨日、東京都議会議員として、1周年を迎えたばっかりの、先生でございます。そして先週の水曜日でございますが、初めて本会議で一般質問をされました時に、いろんなことが起こったわけでございます。本当に火の洗礼を受けたということを言えるのではないかと思います。ではこれから先生、ご自分の言葉で経緯をご説明いただきたいと思います。
皆様まで失礼いたします。東京都議会議員の塩村あやかです。今日は忙しい中お集まりをいただきまして本当にありがとうございます。18日、東京都議会で初めての一般質問を行いました。前回の定例会では質問ではなく討論というものに立っており、あの場に立つのは2回目でした。しかし今回が私の一般質問初めてとなりました。私が今回訴えておりましたのは2020年東京オリンピック・パラリンピックに向けての受動喫煙対策、そして動物愛護、オリンピック・パラリンピックとは少し離れるんですけれども、悩める女性たち、妊娠・出産・育児、そういった女性たちをどのように東京都がサポートをしていくのか、そのような質問をしておりました。
So I ask your indulgence. I'm going to sit while I give my opening remarks. My name is Ayako Shiomura, and I thank you for taking time out from your schedules to attend. On the 18th, as was previously explained, I gave my first questions to the Assembly members. This is called the general interpellation. It was the first time that I had done this. I had previously stood in the same place because I took part in the debate, but this was the first time that I was asking questions in a formal situation. And the things that I was, the issues that I was bringing up had to do with the 2020 Olympics and Paralympics. I wanted to ask about Tokyo's policies in regard to being kind to animals, also in regard to trying to deal with the smoking problem for young people. Also, this is an issue that is slightly distant from the Olympics and Paralympics, but I did want to ask the city of Tokyo what it can do to support women as they face difficult issues in regard to having children and being able to raise them.
最 最初の方からヤジがなかったといえばそうではなかったとは思います。前回の討論の時にもむしろそちらの方が激しいヤジを浴びておりましたが、その時は、むしろ政策に対するもの、そして私個人に対するものが、多かったように思いますので、そこはむしろ問題になることもなくですね、終わりました。で、今回なんですけれども、最初は受動喫煙対策、そして動物愛護、そして今回騒動となりました問題となりましたヤジが飛んだ部分の、妊娠出産育児に悩める女性たちのサポートをどのように東京都がしていくのかというような質問に入った時にですね、私は未婚ですので、まずは私が結婚をした方がいいというような、不規則発言、ヤジが耳にポンと入ってきました。ある程度その不規則発言といいますか、短い言葉で言えば、ヤジは覚悟して臨んだものだったんですが、まさか何と言えばいいんですかね、少し言葉が違うのかもしれませんが、まさかそんな古典的なそのようなヤジがまさか本会議場で飛んでくるとは思いませんでしたので、覚悟をして臨んだ質問だったとはいえ、あまりにも不意を突かれてしまいまして、耳を疑って一瞬止まってしまいました。
As I explained earlier, I had stood in the same place in the Assembly Hall when I took part in the debate. And in fact, when I took part in the debate, some of the heckling that was directed towards me was even harsher than some of the things that happened on the 18th. However, much of the heckling had to do with attacks on the policies that I was presenting, also slightly personal attacks. But in any event, I was able to get over that debate. And however, this time, I stood in front of the General Assembly to present my own questions. And as I mentioned earlier, first I presented questions regarding what to do about holding back, preventing smoking among young people, and what to do about treatment of animals in the Tokyo area. And then when I started to get into the third topic, which had to do with my questions as to what Tokyo could do to help women as they face the challenges of modern society, in other words, giving birth and raising children and becoming pregnant. At that time, I began to hear what we call officially irregular comments, which in the popular vernacular would be called heckling. And because I am a single person, I heard a comment saying, basically, why don't you yourself get married? Because I had taken part in the debate previously, and because I am in the Assembly Hall quite often, I had braced myself, I prepared myself for receiving some heckling. However, and again I searched for the correct words to describe this, the kind of heckling, the kind of comment that was directed my way was so surprising to me. Trying to find the words, I think I would call this very classical thinking, very traditional, old-fashioned thinking. It was so unexpected and something that I had not prepared myself for in this modern age, in this modern hall, to hear that I was, for a moment, thinking that I had misheard the statement. It was so unexpected and so out of place. And because it was so unexpected and so surprising, I stopped in the middle of my speech.
その時に一瞬やはりとても大きな声でしたので、その声がした方を思わず無意識に向いてしまいました。その結果質問が少し止まってしまったので、その間に止まってしまったということと、そのような考えのやりといいますか、不規則発言がこの場であるんだということで、少しびっくりしたのと、不意打ちを食らったというような形で、悲しみと、その時に一瞬苦笑いで終わらせようと思ったというか、そうなってしまいました。そういったことがあったといっても、質問を止めるわけには私はいかないと思いました。1年待ってようやく得た一般質問11分間ですから、その機会を失いたくないというのが一番の気持ちでスピーチを続けていきました。 不適切な発言といいますか、ヤジといいますか、不規則発言があった時にですね、私は、あまりにも大きな声だったので、周りの方もこれはおかしいんじゃないかと思った人もたくさんいるとは思うんですが、雰囲気として逆に笑いが起こって、そのような発言でもう皆さん楽しんでいるような状況になってしまいました。そういう状況を感じながら、私はどんどんとその不妊治療であるとか、不妊、あとは子育てとか、いろんなその悩みを抱えた女性たちの顔、相談に来てくれた人の言葉とかが頭の中に浮かんでいきまして、とても申し訳ない気持ちになって、どんどんと悔しい気持ちが増していきました。
So when this first heckling began, the person who issued it was speaking in such a big voice. Without even being conscious of this, I looked up in the general direction of that voice. And because I looked up and looked away from my document, I stopped my speech. And then I realized that I had stopped and that this was a very precious opportunity, that I had to somehow finish my questions, my speech. So I felt great shock. I felt as though I had been almost struck, and I felt great sadness that such a classical or traditional or old-fashioned comment might come up. But I tried to cover it up with what I would describe as a bitter smile and try to just keep on going. As I mentioned, I felt this was such an important opportunity. I was allotted 11 minutes to pose my questions to the General Assembly, and I'd waited an entire year to have this opportunity. So I felt that regardless of what happened, I had to continue. However, hearing these very inappropriate comments, these very irregular comments, and hearing this comment given in such a loud voice, my natural reaction was that I thought the people around me who heard it also were similarly shocked and rather disturbed. However, the response that occurred in the assembly was that I heard a great deal of laughter. In fact, this moment became apparently an enjoyable one for me, as some people in the audience, and as I tried to take in this very unexpected turn of events, I felt I had to again continue with my speech, and I kept continuing to present the General Assembly with the issues that I had brought, which were that there are women that were having trouble getting pregnant or having trouble raising their children. And as I continued to give my speech, the faces of the people, the women who had come to me with their problems very much came to my mind. I remember the words that they said, and I felt tremendous sadness and also a great deal of beginnings of anger.
私がずっとその演説中といいますか、スピーチ中にいろいろな声が耳に入ってきまして、全てを拾うことはもちろん難しいですし、私も大きな声を張り上げながら、スピーチをしていたので、全てを拾っているわけではないんですけれども、残念ながらその女性蔑視としか思えないような発言がいくつか耳にも入ってきたような気もしますし、それについて本当に笑って面白がっているような雰囲気が少し伺いまして、スピーチ中も本当に複雑な気持ちになりながら続けていました。このような状況になった時に、最初に大きなその声で飛んだ、不規則発言の時に議員であるならばおかしいんじゃないかということで諌めるようなことがあってもいいんじゃないかなとも思いましたし、逆にそのようなことがなくですね、それを面白がるというようなことが続いたところが一番ショック。私が笑えたのであればまだ前回の討論の時のように続けることもできたんですが、今回の件は私自身だけではなく女性全体、そしてその家族の皆さんも侮蔑するような状況になってしまったというところが私はとても残念です。スピーチをしていた時には少し涙声になりました。正直涙声になりました。涙を流すことはなかったんですが、スピーチを終えて席に戻った時に少しふっと顔を上げた時に、あのような状況をおかしいと思っていないというような雰囲気が非常に広がっておりまして、そのことに対して少し涙が座ってからこぼれました。
So certainly, I was speaking myself, and I was speaking in a very loud voice, so I could not hear everything that was said, all of the heckling that occurred. However, there were comments that did reach my ears that can only be described as being very insulting or disparaging of women. And what left a deeper impression on me was that the reaction of the assembly seemed to be general laughter and enjoyment about the situation. So I continued with my speech, feeling very, very complex feelings inside. Certainly, my first reaction, my first thought was that since the first heckling comment had been given in a very loud voice, there could have been some kind of a reaction by other people to try to reprimand or hold back or perhaps even scold that person. However, what was most shocking to me and what caused me the greatest pain was that the general feeling in the assembly hall seemed again to be great enjoyment. Certainly, I had experience doing the debate previously, and if it were an attack just on my policies or just on me, then I think again I could have handled it. But as I went on with my questions and my speech, I realized that the comments that were being given were not just directed towards me, but the women that have similar difficulties, the families of these women who were suffering, and all I could feel was great sadness and great regret. I continued with my speech. I know that my voice sounded as though I were holding back tears. I did not cry when I was at the podium. When I came back to my seat, I raised my head a little bit, and again, I took in the fact that the entire assembly hall seemed to be filled with great enjoyment, and that realization did bring some tears to my eyes when I sat down.
会議が終わりまして、控室に戻った時に、もしかしたらすぐにあの時はちょっと申し訳ないと声が大きくやじってしまったというようなことで、該当する方が来てくださるのかなと思っておりました。しかし来たのはその方ではなく記者の方々で、その時の状況を、見ていた知っているのですから、いろいろとその問題だと思って来てくださいました。そして翌日に新聞記事に載りました。そこで名乗り出てくださるのかなと思いましたが、それもないままに昨日になりまして、それまでもうちの会派の方で声の聞こえた方の会派さんの方にですね、抗議といいますか言ったんですけれども、正直その証拠がないということで、ちょっとそういうようなことを言われても困るというような報告を受けたそうです。受けました。ちょっと正直そこも非常にびっくりしまして、結局その証拠を出せというような感じの論調になってまして、名乗り出るというようなことを待っていたんですけれども、それはありませんでした。で18日にですね、その処分要求書というものを議長宛てに出しました。このようなことが首都東京の議会であっては私はいけないと思っております。該当する、議員で、その時は議員の名前が分からなかったので、結局それが理由で受け取ってもらうことができずに3日以内に出さなくてはいけないというような期限を過ぎてしまいまして、それを受け取ってもらうことができませんでしたので、手続きを踏んだ地方自治法上に手続きを踏んだ処分というものが難しくなった、結果的にできなくなったという状況になりました。そして、知事の会見もちょっと記者の方等から聞いたんですけれども、もちろん発言に関しては到底いいものでない、許されるものではないというような内容であったそうなんですが、ただ、議会のことは議会のことでというようなコメントだったそうです。つまりその議会のことは議会のことでということで、議会の方に処分要求書を出したんですが、結果その人が特定していないということで受理がされませんでしたので、八方塞がりになってしまって大変に困っておりました。
After the plenary session ended, I went back to my antechamber and I had thought that perhaps the person who had spoken in a very loud voice to me would come by and offer his apologies, saying that he hadn't meant to upset me or something like that. However, one came, and the people actually that did came were journalists who who understood the situation. I spoke with them, and the next day there were some articles about this incident, and I thought, well, this would be enough for the person to speak up and say, well, I was the person responsible. But again, until yesterday, the person responsible did not volunteer his name. So at the same time, we decided that some official procedures should be undertaken, and so we went to the parliamentary group, which probably had the parliamentary group was sitting in the general area from where the voices came. So we went to the head of this parliamentary group and asked that some disposition measures be taken. However, we were told that because we could not at that moment identify the person responsible, we had no evidence. Nothing could be done, and we were told actually that we had to give evidence, or we had to give the name of the person within 3 days. We were not able to do that, and therefore, although we tried to take the proper procedures or steps, that eventually it could not be done. Again, this response by the parliamentary group was very surprising to me, because although something very wrong had occurred, the response was that you have to provide evidence. Thinking, however, that this was a very, very serious issue and something that should not happen in the General Assembly of a city as great as Tokyo, I felt a tremendous frustration. Also, during this period, the governor of Tokyo gave a press conference. I was told by journalists that although he commented on the heckling and said that obviously is not a very good thing, at the same time he said the Metropolitan Assembly matters should be left to the Metropolitan Assembly. But as I mentioned earlier, we tried to take the official steps to try to resolve the situation, but we were told that because we could not provide evidence, etc., nothing could be done. So from the point of having some kind of help from the governor, some kind of help from the assembly itself, it seemed nothing could be done. I felt all doors were closed to me.
その後にやはりマスコミ等の報道がかなりありましたので、結果として昨日ですかね、はい、昨日該当する議員さんの方から名乗り出ていただいて謝罪があったという形になっております。名乗り出ていただいた方は1人ですが、あの場でいろいろな規則発言をした方は決して1人ではなかったと思います。1人が名乗り出て終わってはいけないと思いますし、再発防止を防ぐという点でも今後も名乗り出ていただきたいと思っていますし、これをきっかけに首都東京の都議会が変わっていくことを望んでおります。ありがとうございました。
After this, there were many media reports, and as a result, as you all are aware, yesterday the person who originally spoke in a very loud voice did volunteer that it was he that was responsible, and yesterday he took the form of officially apologizing to me. However, as I mentioned earlier, it was not only one person that was doing the heckling or giving these irregular comments. I feel very strongly that this matter should not end with just one person having volunteered his name and no one else. I think that measures need to be taken to prevent this kind of thing from occurring again. And I'm hopeful, have great expectations that this incident will serve to somehow change the nature of the Tokyo Metropolitan Assembly. Thank you very much for your attention.